In the high-octane world of Formula One, you have to be first. First to harness the accelerating technological advances. Because it's quite simple. Win that race and you win on the track, like McLaren Honda have been doing for the last 18 months. Engineering is now so crucial that when it gets to race day, it's all over bar the champagne spraying.
The race is very largely decided long before the cars even roll out onto the starting grid, with all the testing, the development, choosing the right tyres, choosing the right chassis setup. It's a battle of engineers to a very large extent. The designers and technicians can go home on the plane on Saturday night. In fact, some of them even do. All that's really left is for the driver to keep it out of trouble and not make a mistake. But from a technological viewpoint, the whole thing is wrapped up virtually before the cars go out to the start.
And in the search for success, the latest model to come off the Grand Prix assembly line is Benetton Ford's 189, the car designed to challenge the McLaren domination. 21 wins in 24 races. Nobody has been able to compete. But now with, as ever, revolutionary designs, Benetton think they've got it right. Crammed full of computer equipment to record every creak and strain, the boffins look for a percentage of a percentage increase in every area. For the drivers, it means not a change in gear, but a change in role.
There's been a slight change in emphasis on the skills required. In the 60s and 70s, the drivers were able to dictate physical changes to the cars that would be appropriate to improving its performance. I think now it's far more important for the driver to report accurately what the car is doing. And then it's really up to the engineers to assess the driver's report and decide on what change to make.
Their role at a Grand Prix event is very much trying to work on the last 3% of the performance of the car, not actually contribute a huge amount to the development of the car. That all takes place away from the circuit in testing and bench dyno tests on the engine, etc., etc.
If it means they'll go faster, they'll do anything. Formula One drivers are speed junkies, but they know they're only as good as the cars they sit in. And technology changes so quickly, even the top drivers feel the draft.
There's a great saying in Formula One, basically if you stand still for 1 week, you go backwards. And I would sort of add to that, if you stand still in motor racing for longer than a day or 2 days, then you are going backwards because everybody's moving forward at a great pace.
I remember when I started 10 years ago, I mean, the car is very different. And every time we're going to a racetrack, we're looking at the lap time saying, okay, 1:10, for example. Say, oh, this time can't be beaten. You know, and today we are doing 1:2, 1:3. I mean, 7 seconds, 8 seconds quicker.
It's always been that difficult, you know. But today, with all these technologies on top of it, maybe it's a little bit more complicated.
And if you want to win, well, there are 5 crucial variables in the Grand Prix equation. The tyres, they're incredibly specialised. The engine, the design of which is on the top secret list. The team, all experts in their own field. Finance, we're talking telephone numbers with long-distance area codes. And finally, the driver, the human element who does the steering. Get all that right, and you've got the winning formula. It appears McLaren Honda have. This season was supposed to see a return to competitive racing with the enforced exit of the turbos. But not so. McLaren Honda have a huge investment in Formula One. Honda are reported $73 million last year. They're still firmly in pole position.
It's the technology that enables them to really prove more competitive at the moment than anyone else, and that's what's going to earn them the championship. So it's not directly money, but you need the investment to actually advance the technology.
Our development budget, which is separate from our racing budget, is well over $15 million a year, and it's that bit that we use as our financial tuning fork as well. If we have more money, then it normally goes into the development budget, which allows us to stay ahead.
When it comes to piloting their pioneering engineering excellence, the top teams plan just as carefully. Only a few drivers can cope with the complexities of Formula One, Anyone who gets on the grid is an outstanding driver, but that's not enough.
All I know is that given the equal equipment, I can sort of be there and be very competitive and win races. And you know, for me, it's a challenge. It's unlike golf and tennis, where it's you and the ball, or the racket and the ball, and the golf club and the ball. You have got to pull the team around you. You've got to work with people, with personalities, with engineers. It's a package, and you only need one parameter in one package not to work correctly for you on the day, and basically you're nowhere.
It's a question of if you have pleasure to work with the people outside the car and to improve things, or if you only want to drive quick in the car. So for my job, I think more and more it's more important outside the car.
After months of testing and continual research, the new Benetton 189 is unveiled for the French Grand Prix. Italian Alessandro Nannini gets the vote to drive it. If the Benetton is to stand any chance, it must perform well in practice. The Ferraris and the McLarens undoubtedly the cars to match. Nannini puts his foot hard down. Everyone is revved up. Human and computer brains slam into overdrive as the teams search for the right race setup. Prost in front of his adoring French crowd takes pole. Senna overheats in temperatures of 80 plus, but the world champion still second fastest in practice. Mansell's Ferrari close to both, and promises the reliability that had been missing so far in the season. And on his 30th birthday, Nannini gives Benetton their best pre-race position of the season, 4th on the grid.
We are happy because we checked the engine and the qualifier, and the engine pushed very well and in acceleration, and like Honda. And the car is quick in the straight, and I'm very happy because it's not ready. We have some little problem. For example, we have a problem for the traction, and if we adjust everything, maybe we can fight with McLaren. It's okay, our car.
As the sun sets over Ricard and drivers return home to dream of checkered flags, there's guarded confidence in the Benetton pit. But plenty to do. The galley slaves work through the night to give the 189 its final service. There's no danger of this car failing its MOT.
Down to the first right-hander. And it's Senna leading, Prost second, Nannini up to third, Mansell down to fourth position, and look at Nannini up into third position and charging through. That is what that Google is.
Drama at the first bend. The Benetton escapes, Mansell's Ferrari doesn't. The race is restarted with the Englishman in the pit lane. This time it's Senna who doesn't even make it to the first bend.
That's Senna. Senna is off already.
Two pieces of luck for Benetton, but success today would be to finish the course, to clock up some miles in real race conditions. Then the engineers can really assess the true potential of the car. To finish is the priority, to win an unexpected bonus. The Benetton race plan, to go steady early on and make a challenge late in the race on new tyres. Lap 35, the Benetton holding up well, but they still need to make up a few seconds. In Formula One, every second counts. Now the real test for the 189. Could it catch Prost? The answer, no. A broken suspension and shattered dreams.
But Prost is the man.
For the French crowd, a popular result. For those involved in Formula One, a predictable one. Prost coasted. For Benetton, disappointment. But the 189 had shown enough to generate confidence that it would eventually be able to challenge the McLarens. That is, if Prost and Senna don't trade in their cars for new models.
You can't assume the goalposts are where Honda McLaren are now, because in 6 months' time the goalposts will have moved. So, I mean, we put maximum effort into improving the package as fast as we possibly can, you know, within the resources that are available to us.
Development takes time, but it's still happening on a constant basis.
How far ahead will you plan then totally?
In some areas, 1992, with things like fundamental engine configurations. On the chassis side, normally 18 months, and of course there are some things which you're modifying almost overnight.
Silverstone threw up no surprises, another comfortable McLaren victory, though Benetton's third place underlined the 189's potential. But the reality of Formula One came with the message from McLaren. To win a Grand Prix, you must invest on a grand scale.